Hi, good day. I am Trisha, and along with my groupmates, we will discuss about Chapter 17, Marketing Challenges and Opportunities for Heritage Tourism. For heads up, the aims of this chapter are the following: to illustrate the complexity of heritage and heritage tourism, to outline the unique challenges of marketing heritage tourism in understanding the client, in the evolving marketing mix, how should heritage be paid for, branding, and authenticity. Also, it is to examine new areas where opportunities exist to market heritage tourism in dark tourism, ordinary landscapes and people, heritage trails and routes, personal heritage, and pilgrimage. And lastly, it is to highlight through a case study the challenges of marketing a heritage attraction prior to its completion and ahead of when it can be appreciated, which is the Titanic, the centenary of her sinking in 2012, and her association with Belfast, Northern Ireland. Now, what is heritage tourism? For Stephen Boyd, heritage tourism typically falls under the purview of cultural tourism and vice versa. It is one of the most notable, widespread types of tourism and is among the oldest forms of travel. Towner 1996 commented that the ancient Egyptians and Romans, as well as the nobility of medieval times, traveled to experience historic places of cultural importance. In its modern form, heritage tourism has come under the radar of interests of many international travelers, as the World Tourism Organization is often quoted as stating that over 40% of international travel has an element of heritage and culture associated with it. However, one major challenge for managers in heritage tourism is whether or not they can acquire the demand of heritage tourists, may it be the passive or the serious ones. Added to that, they need to make sure they are adapting to changes or rather engaged in developing new experiences and products, but at the same time providing what was already there. In other words, presenting versions of the former in a more dynamic and innovative way. Moreover, to most scholars, heritage is about the present-day use of the past, and that is according to Ashworth 2003 and Graham et al. 2000. This means that heritage tourism is rediscovering the past and somewhat reliving it through products like infrastructures, culture, tradition, lifestyle, and/or experiences. In connection to that comes experiential heritage environment. It is influenced and shaped by a mix of elements that include supply, which is products and services. Second is demand, which is the customer's expectations. Third is the nature of the heritage landscapes that has been conserved and protected, which could lead to the overall performance of the attraction. Fourth is the impact that heritage creates and leaves within the destination regions, which technically means whether or not the site is beneficial to the community, the economic growth of the region, and the lifestyle of the locals. Fifth is how heritage attractions and resources are managed, which, to simply put, whether or not the funds and maintenance of the site is well managed. Sixth is how it is interpreted, presented, and at times commoditized. This is if the heritage site is showcased and are promoted without insulting the culture, if tour guides are content-wise with their performances and distinguishing the values of heritage sites economically. Lastly, the role politics play in forming the heritage experience, whether or not the government is backing up, providing protocols that are effective to the site and as well as to the local and the tourists. Marketing these experiences is further compounded by the need to embrace the holistic nature of the terms to involve its natural, cultural, historical, built, industrial, and personal components, and to present each as they exist within destinations. Furthermore, heritage tourism should be viewed as a type of tourism that traverses a mix of landscapes and settings, which is pristine natural to urban artificial, where it overlaps to occur with other types of tourism such as ecotourism, cultural tourism, and urban tourism. This is according to Boyd 2003 and Timothy and Boyd 2003. Now, failure to adopt such a holistic and inclusive understanding of the heritage will perpetuate to a myopic perspective that limits what elements of heritage within a setting are presented to the visitors. Myopic perspective in this case is that means that one is not capable of thinking outside the box. By being narrow-minded, the function of a heritage tourism site is limited, thus it can ruin the customer satisfaction and customer relationship. Before proceeding to the next topic, here's what Stephen W. Boyd has to say with regards to heritage tourism. Sustainability has been a part of the lexicon of tourism scholars for some time now. And while sustainable criteria have been well espoused, in the case of heritage tourism, authentic products, learning opportunities, societal involvement, and these must remain as central pillars to build heritage tourism opportunities and environment that have long-term viability. At the same time, it is important to recognize what Hall observed almost a decade ago. It is unlikely that heritage tourism will ever become truly sustainable beyond anything more than most local of cases. Indeed, sustainability is the key to prolonged products in the tourism industry. Such products include the tourism sites, facilities, amenities, and services. Challenges in heritage tourism includes market reach, marketing mix, heritage economics, ensuring authenticity, and branding. First off, we will talk about market reach. Market reach technically means the target market of the heritage tourism sites. This falls under the challenges because it is not easy to accommodate, entertain, and serve different types of tourists in one setting. Also, for Timothy 1997, heritage is not homogeneous. It is not uniform in its identity, and it has also different groups or types of tourists. Based on the book, there are passive heritage visitors which are akin to the mass tourists, and there are also the serious heritage tourists which are akin to the special interest traveler. These two are vital in the marketing heritage sites to the different types of visitor spectrum. Timothy and Boyd 2006 noted that as the range of resources that function as attractions in heritage tourism increase, there is a need to understand better the supply side of heritage tourism, including how resources are marked as heritage sites in different cultures and the unique management challenges and solutions in different heritage settings. Hence, cultural tourism's type of tourists, which are the following: purposeful, sightseeing, serendipitous, casual, and incidental, are beneficial to heritage tourism, categorizing their types of tourists. This helps heritage tourism sites view their tourists and understand customer diversity and demands. In a way, this helps them market their sites better. Marketers of heritage tourism should take note of this. The second challenge in heritage tourism is marketing mix. The conventional view has been to market on the basis of product, place, promotion, and price. However, for others, there is a merit in adding to this list the piece with the people, programming, and partnership. And that is according to Boyd 2003 and Milan Morrison 1998. The first is argued on the basis that ultimately, the heritage tourism products must be focused on the people involved and the experience they desire. This requires marketers to address the intangibility aspects of place and opportunity. As the commodity is a set of services, the individuals delivering the service are essential to the success of the purchase. Operators must provide a top-level service to initially complete that transaction and encourage returning buyers. One approach to add value to its regular product and to differentiate a single offering from the rival is to provide unique programming. It is a method known as marketing services. Customers can buy a commodity that fits their individual needs. Special programming can answer those desires and attract additional customers. In terms of partnership, they get to share and discuss new ideas that leads to collaboration and better outcome in the heritage tourism. Not only that, but by collaboration, they get to partner with other organizations in marketing their heritage sites. Lastly, there are other new pieces that are constantly being added to the original mix. Recent ones are passion, purpose, performance, potential, pass along, practice, position, and profit, which in turn provides greater scope and flexibility in how heritage tourism may be marketed in the future. The third challenge in marketing heritage tourism is heritage economics. In the case of heritage tourism, price elasticity and willingness to pay is the challenge. Heritage sites fall costly in terms of maintenance and as well as redeveloping or coping to the changes in the tourism sector, and that is why some of them has higher prices and admission fees, which can be a no-no to some tourists. Added to that, there are constant changes in the tourism sector that heritage tourism should acknowledge and or apply, which is vital to the pricing decision of the sites. These include the over-commercialization and commoditization of heritage and the exclusion of people who cannot afford to pay entry fee. There is also a danger of the commercial side of the site management occupying too much time and effort, thereby taking time and resources away from the more important goals of conservation and interpretation of the heritage tourism sites. And this is according to or based on Fayal and Garrod 1998 and Garrod 2003. To discuss the remaining two challenges, we have Miss Rachel in the next slide.
Hello, my name is Rachel, and I will be discussing marketing challenges and opportunities for heritage tourism, starting off with ensuring authenticity. The idea of authenticity has been of concern to tourism scholars for many years. The debate within the heritage tourism circles around those that argue that people travel in a constant search for authentic experiences and genuine places. The reality may be that the desire of most tourists is to experience a holiday that is entertaining, enjoyable, and memorable, as opposed to those that suggest that tourists do not seek truly authentic experiences and are able to discern artificial from authentic heritages. Much of what exists in the form of heritage centers and living museums today offer visitors an inauthentic experience where the past has been distorted through inventing places like the Land of Oz in Kansas, by sanitizing like the pioneer villages free of disease, death, poverty, and starvation, and idolizing the past like the Monterey Cannery Row. And lastly, by celebrating only the winners of society to the exclusion of the ordinary people of the history. Further to this is the need for marketers to accept that authenticity is a relative term, that it cannot be generalized but rather shape the visitor's own social conditioning, and that meaning may be attributed in part to their background and how they interpret they are gazing upon. What makes for an authentic experience will differ from one person to the next, from eating at a local restaurant to visiting war-torn conflict zones. Tourism providers may be feeling the pressure to come up with more and more original, authentic experiences, but it's actually an opportunity. Now, providers gives the people the power to co-construct their own authenticity. The dangers are nevertheless evident in that in striving to ensure an accurate picture of the past is presented to visitors, there is a danger that heritage tourism spaces become fossilized spaces that fail to always show the present within the past. Branding. Branding is another term that has become common in marketing today, developing its own lexicon of terms to fit our positioning and image. According to Boyd and Timothy in 2006, both terms have particular resonance when it comes to World Heritage sites, as destination marketing organizations are often too quick to brand destinations with certain labels and to promote areas around well-known symbols, such as UNESCO's World Heritage Site logo. Among the dangers of using World Heritage Site logo is the possible exclusion of recognition of many other opportunities, and hence experience that World Heritage Site regions that do not have World Heritage Site have to offer visitors. According to Hall in Pigem, a research in New Zealand has revealed that while many tourism businesses promote themselves as part of the wider World Heritage Site, beyond that of the site itself, this does not always translate in the mind of the visitors who fail to recognize the brand, as many are even unaware they are within the World Heritage Site region. New opportunity. Opportunity means a chance to grow, change, and learn new things. It also means exploring earlier unknown territories to identify potential improvement. According to Timothy and Boyd, new heritage tourism opportunities are constantly emerging. This includes thanatourism, ordinary landscapes and people, heritage trails and routes, personal heritage, and pilgrimage. Thanatourism or dark tourism is not a new tourism product, but the interest in places associated with death, atrocity, disaster, and suffering have increasingly come under the radar of heritage tourists. Some of the most popular tourist attractions for the heritage minded tourists include concentration camps, prisons, slave centers, and sites where famous people died. Ordinary landscape and ordinary people. The interest in the ordinary landscape and ordinary people is a reaction to their absence in most heritage spaces. Society has always celebrated winners of society and commemorated them by erecting statues, memorials, or gardens. Suicidal position and achievement is often reflected in the buildings they left to future generations. Heritage tourism has promoted the lifestyles of the elite within society over the heritage of the ordinary. There is, however, limited understanding as to how favorable today's heritage visitor will gaze upon mundane remnants of the past, such as farms, houses, schools, factories, cemeteries, jails, and villages. The lives of the peasantry and working class in general are as important as the lives of the powerful within past societies, and the opportunity exists within the heritage tourism industry to offer this alternative narratives of a region's past. Heritage trails and routes. Heritage trails and routes have been around for ages and exist at various scales, from mega trails such as the Silk Route to national trails like the Mormon Trail across America, to small-scale urban trails like the Boston Freedom Trail. Trail offer the opportunity to market a mix of attractions and individual sites together for tourists, as opposed to selling the importance of the route in an historical context. While trails should be marketed as an entity, it is often the individual attractions they connect that appeal to visitors, hence the reason why few visitors value experiencing the entire route, an exception being those engaged in pilgrimages. Some scholars have questioned if pilgrimage is part of tourism given the obligatory dimension associated with it. It may, however, be argued that pilgrimage or religious tourism is part of heritage tourism, firstly because the locations and structures that are visited have become important heritage attractions and destinations, and secondly because the route itself has become an historical phenomenon and gained recognition as an important element of religious tourism. Lastly is personal heritage. Personal heritage, better known as roots tourism and visits to ancestral homeland and regions, are emerging as a new heritage tourism opportunity. Personal heritage is a person's unique, inherited sense of family identity, the values, traditions, culture, and artifacts handed down by previous generations. According to Timothy and Coles in 2004, the desire of tourists to connect with past ancestry and trace their family genealogy. Moreover, the importance the tourists place between heritage places and their own individual identity. It offers new scope to broaden the market appeal of many destinations.
Hi, I'm April. I'm going to report the case study. The case study is about marketing of the Titanic and the maritime heritage of Belfast, Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland today welcomes around 2 million out-of-state visitors and records 10 million bid nights each year, contributing around 500 million in the Northern Ireland economy. The lead destination's marketing organization, the Northern Ireland Tourist Board, or the NITB, has since 2004 embarked on a strategic framework for action program which compromised 3 elements: attracting visitors, business enhancement, and communicating effectively. One of these is the Titanic Maritime Belfast. It is home to the Titanic as well as her sister ship, the Olympic. Commissioned by the White Star Line, these ships were conceived to restore the preeminence of the company within the golden age of travel at the start of the 20th century. Conceived, designed, built, and launched in Belfast, Titanic was the subject of pride for the city. Over 10,000 onlookers cheered on May 31, 1911, when the ship was launched and towed to the then-new Thompson Outfitting Wharf and Grieving Dock to be transformed to the floating palace of legend. The theme of the Titanic holds significant economic, cultural, and regeneration opportunities for all of the Northern Ireland and not just for the city of Belfast. A finding from the Detailed Concept and Economic Feasibility study that was commissioned by the NITB and Belfast City Council in 2004. On its release on September 1, 2005, Alan Clark, the chief executive of Belfast, is closer to establishing a world-class attractions that will compete against the best in the world. The original design plans included a centerpiece visitor center building shaped in the form of the White Star logo, the creations of a ghost ship of the Thompson Dry Docks, in which it is a unique light sculpture of the ship that would be visible across the Belfast Harbour skyline. And lastly, a large-scale industrial sculpture park alongside the hotel, conference, and convention center. The Titanic Quarter encompasses 185 acres of Queen's Island on the eastern banks of the River Lagan and covers most of the former Harland and Wolff shipyard site. It extends from Abercorn Basin to Belfast Lough. It is the adjacent to the region known as the Lagan Side, a region of Belfast waterfront that underwent renewal between 1987 and 2001, and combined with the Titanic Quarter, will transform a now derelict site into a sustainable and smart city region of the future, which will be more than just about tourism, but rather it will be about citizens living and working in a core multifunctional space. Belfast has embarked on a number of programs where the Titanic brand is becoming associated with the city. These involve hosting an annual Titanic Made in the Belfast Festival, the design of an interactive Titanic trail, and tours of the Harland and Wolff shipyards from the River Lagan.
Hi, I'm Alan, and now we will be talking more about the case study of the marketing of the Titanic and the maritime heritage of Belfast, Northern Ireland. In the years running up to the centenary event, Belfast has embarked on a number of programs where the Titanic brand is becoming associated with the city. This involved hosting an annual Titanic Made in Belfast festival, the design of an interactive Titanic trail, and the tours of the Harland and Wolff shipyards from the River Lagan. The annual Titanic Made in Belfast festival is a celebration of the ship. It is a week-long festival which involves exhibitions, living history and storytelling, viewing the replica of the memorial plug in Belfast City Hall to commemorate the lives lost in the sinking of the RMS Titanic, and boat tours to the actual place on Belfast Lough where Titanic was launched on the 31st of May on 1911. This festival gives the visitors the opportunity to learn more about the tragic, epic tale of the doomed liner. The interactive Titanic Trail. It has a duration time of 2.5 hours, takes in the buildings and monuments associated with RMS Titanic. This trail development is unique as visitors are offered an interactive trail experience. The Node Explorer, which is a portable device developed by Awaken Limited, uses Global Positioning Systems technology, or a GPS, to take visitors back to the future, leading them on a tour of the city sites associated with the Titanic story. A range of still images, video footage, dramatic reconstructions, text and audio clips are employed to enable visitors to experience a fully interactive trip through time, telling the Titanic story and the key figures associated with its history. And lastly, the tours of the Harland and Wolff shipyards from the River Lagan, where Belfast will continue to build the Titanic brand by adding new elements of the Titanic story. For instance, Belfast celebrated the 95th anniversary of the maiden voyage with the launch of a new initiative, the Titanic Pneumatic Convention. With the return of the pneumatic to Belfast in 2006, there is expectation that this may act as a catalyst to develop a world-class Titanic museum. According to Dave Costy of the Belfast Titanic Convention, it is important that we promote Belfast as the birthplace of the RMS Titanic. And he went on to state that the convention highlights the rich heritage in the shipbuilding and also opens up Northern Ireland as an economically viable tourist attraction creating an annual foundation for the Titanic Signature Project in 2012. The manager of the Titanic Signature Project, Carrie Sweeney, stresses that the Northern Ireland Tourist Board is still committed to the completion of a Titanic visitor attraction, and that public and private funding arrangements will have to be sought. Alongside completing funding applications, she stresses the importance of building on the range of bottom to the top of Titanic products that currently exist. A new initiative to be rolled out is Titanic signage across the city that allows visitors to walk from the City Hall down to the Titanic Quarter. According to Sweeney, there is a lot of work to be accomplished in order to build the brand. The marking of the centenary of the sinking of Titanic will be a somber occasion. Over the years, numerous museums have been set up that are dedicated to the Titanic. That is why Belfast must establish the Titanic brand as a competitive advantage, that it should be the only place where visitors will be able to tour the shipyards where the legendary ship was built. In time, the Titanic Quarter will be transformed and offer a unique cultural experience, and this mix of opportunity the region will offer to visitors will create a visited space that is sustainable. The Titanic attractions are only starting to be developed, but in the interim years, Belfast must ensure that its connections to Titanic are internationally recognized.
Once again, I am Trisha, and to officially conclude Chapter 17, here is the summary of everything. This chapter illustrates that considerable scope remains as to how heritage tourism is marketed, that the marketing mix is constantly evolving beyond the traditional approach of product formulation, price, place, and promotion. Research is also further needed to understand the position of heritage tourists when it comes to how we pay for that heritage and the type of products they want to view, whether or not it is authentic or inauthentic. Also, there are new opportunities to exist to broaden the appeal of heritage to a wider market to include dark tourism sites, the appreciation of heritage in ordinary places that tell the stories of ordinary people, trails and routes of varying scales and themes, and the attachment to personal heritages, pilgrimage, and roots. And that is all, and we hope you understood a lot.